Call this meeting to order, Tuesday, September 7th, 2021, 7 p.m., City of Somerton regular council meeting. Councilman Galindo, can you please lead us in Pledge of Allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Gerardo Naya,
Present.
Vice Mayor Juan Castillo,
Present.
Councilmember Carlos Gonzalez, Councilmember Jesus Roldan,
Present.
Councilmember Luis Galindo,
Present.
Councilmember Marta Garcia, present. Councilmember Miguel Villalpando. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Present.
Thank you. Moving on, call to the public. Anybody from the public wishing to address council? There's no one. Moving on to proclamations, library card sign-up month.
Mayor, we have Sarah Wisdom from the library to present the library card sign-up month proclamation.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. And on behalf of the Yuma County Library District, I'd just like to thank the City Council for your continued support. Most recently, I think, was our Dia del Nino event at the Somerton Library. And after a long, dry spell of no programming, we had hundreds of families come through, and it was such a great experience. And we just want to thank you for partnering with us on that event. And just wanted to let you know about a couple of things that we've been doing, even though the library was closed for a period of time and then opened with limited services. As of September 21st, 2020, the library district went fine-free. So that means that there's no more late fines on materials. So people still have to pay if materials are damaged or lost, but eliminating late fines, we think really removed a barrier for a lot of families to use the library. And in April of 2021, we received a grant to add 5 Wi-Fi hotspots at the Somerton Library, and these are available for people to check out. It's really helpful if you don't have reliable internet or don't have internet. They work like a cell phone. You can go anywhere there's service and be online. So this is great for homework help, for job searches. So just wanted to let you know, in case you didn't know, that those are just a few of the things the library is doing to keep information in the library accessible to the public.
Thank you. So I'm going to read the proclamation. Does anybody have any comments or questions? Okay. So it's Library Card Sign-Up Month 2021. Whereas a library card is the most essential school supply of all, whereas library resources serve students of all ages, from early literacy to probably STEAM programs. That's correct. Is it a STEM?
There's
program?
both.
To research databases, whereas a library card gives students the tools that foster success in the classroom and beyond, whereas a library card empowers all people to pursue their dreams and explore new passions and interests, whereas libraries are constantly transforming and expanding services to meet the evolving needs of the communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Gerardo Naya, Mayor of the City of Somerton, do hereby proclaim September Library Card Sign-Up Month in Somerton, Arizona, and encourage everyone to sign up for their own library card today. Is there anything to sign? No. Yeah, you have it. Okay.
Sarah, can you remind the citizens of Somerton what your hours are usually?
Yes.
At the local branch?
Yes, the Somerton Library is open Tuesday through Saturday. They are open 10 to 7 Tuesday through Thursday, and then 10 to 5 Friday and Saturday.
There are also, I believe, other services. Tomorrow you have the emergency rental program from 2 to 5.
Yes, that's right.
You are gonna get a framed observation. We have 5 items in consent agenda. Check register 202-07. Approval of special event liquor license application for UTV block party on behalf of the City of Somerton for October 2nd, 2021 on Main Street. Approval of application of extension of premises patio permit to the Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control on behalf of 85354 Bar and Grill for the San Luis Off-Road Expo registration event on September 17, 2021. Approval to renew contract with Western Arizona Council of Governments for fiscal year 2021-2022 for senior nutrition meals program. Approval of consent agreement between Bureau of Reclamation and City of Somerton for the ownership, use, and operation and maintenance of city-owned bridges. Does any member of council want to remove an item from consent agenda and discuss it? Is there a motion? A motion by Councilwoman Garcia, second by Councilman Roldan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have one presentation and discussion to enter into an agreement for co-sponsorship with Yuma County Travel Baseball League and City of Somerton.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council members. This is Mesa, Parks and Rec Director. Here before you is an item for a proposal from the Yuma County Baseball League. They have an idea that they want to bring forward to your attention. It's a possible collaboration between us and them to promote further engagement of baseball, have more trainings available for coaches, possible baseball clinics that are going to be organized in an academy style that may benefit the community in general. Just recently, we closed baseball signups on Friday. We had very limited participation. To point out, baseball is going through a transition, you could say, right now in the county. So it might be a good time for some changes. Just FYI, this item was presented to the commission, the Parks and Rec Commission in June. They like the idea and recommend that we collaborate with Mr. Roy, and he's here before you to present more details.
The commission, were there any comments from them?
No, just to make sure it's a win-win situation for both parties, that there's some reservation or some spacing available for local teams to practice, and that's about it.
I have a question, Mayor. And you said we have very limited. Sorry. You said we have very limited participants for that joined, that registered for baseball. Do we have another sport going on at the same time, or is it just baseball?
We have several sports going on at the same time, and it's different days though, but it's the same issue right now going around the county. The city of San Luis had no signups for baseball, and Yuma's not doing very well either.
I would think that also has a has, it's an issue having two leagues, different sports, because I've heard it from parents that they don't know, they're picking between sports. So
Yeah.
if baseball's suffering, and then we have two different sports, it's just hard. So just keep that in mind too, because we're adding to the problem.
I just want to point out that we schedule it a little before due to the holiday season, also for seeding, for maintenance. We have to allow enough time for the seed to grow. And if it's too cold, it's not going to grow like it should. That's also a factor.
Good evening, gentlemen, Mayor, City Council. Thanks for allowing me to come and speak to you. So I want to highlight, just like Mr. Meza said, what we're proposing would absolutely be a relationship. So the initial cost to you of that relationship, monetarily would be nothing. Really, it's just would be co-use of your space for fields for competitive teams that already exist in the area. So allowing those fields to practice and then potentially play some games in a small league here. And then the payback to you would be both monetarily, and that those teams there would have to be some kind of agreement, whether it's per player or per team. My recommendation would be per team monetarily. They would contribute just like anybody else that's playing in your local league here. And then on top of that, what we would like to do is just bring some excitement to baseball in Somerton. So I have a collection of coaches, both that work at my academy and then around the county with other travel teams, and they're interested and available, willing to. We kind of talked about this as starting it for the fall, and we just couldn't make it happen early enough. I've been talking to Mr. Meza since probably May. We talked to the Park and Rec Commission in June, I believe. So we kind of wanted to start in the fall, but we didn't make it that's fine. But we would propose, a series of anywhere from 4 to 6, like clinic type Saturday mornings, 4 hours or so prior to your league beginning. The coaches come out, see what we do with the kids, watch the kids, and then you have your normal draft and everything that you would have. And then what we would do is partner alongside Mr. Meza and just kind of help him, advise him more than anything on kind of how to run the league. It would still be your league. That was definitely the recommendation of the commission, was it would be a co-sponsored league. It would not be us taking over your league at all. It would be you running still your league, and then there would be a requirement or a payback essentially that Yuma County Travel Baseball Association got some days to practice and play on your fields.
Any questions?
I have a question. So this, too bad you guys couldn't start in the fall. But so this would be, let me just make sure that I'm understanding it correctly. So this would be your travel teams that are already set up. They would be coming in and use our fields to play that competitive ball. And then once, us as a city, we're ready for the recreational piece, that component would come in, but that would be separate. Right.
It would be 2 separate organizations or leagues.
Got it. Okay.
Would they be running at the same time or separate?
Yeah, same time.
And I'm assuming that's where the scheduling, yourself and Mr. Mesa would come in and you would work out those details. And I mean,
and obviously your league is going to take priority.
Right.
But there does have to be some give there. Like
right.
At the end of the day, if there were no fields available, then the relationship doesn't really make sense.
Oh, wow. So just out of curiosity, what needed to have happened for it to start in the fall? Because I think that would have been great if we would have been able to push it through.
Yeah, I mean, we had some scheduling issues we were running into on both parties, but we believe it's better to deal with enough time, be able to do the promotion and the transition, have sufficient time for the spring after the holidays and starting the new year kind of thing. Just want to mention that Mr. Roy's proposed to have 2 divisions, a recreational and a competitive league, have 2 separate categories, and in which we could be as a feeder program for the competitive and possibly have better participation. That's what we are shooting for as a department, have better participation and possibly forming a committee that would help promote both leagues, or at least the recreation, our league. That's something that should help improve participation and organization and everything.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, go ahead, Councilman Villalpando.
Okay, Jesus, I'm trying to understand this layout a little bit more. We already have a fee schedule that they could participate on, so I'm not understanding why they would want to come before council and get our blessing, because they're entitled to use the fields as long as they pay the fees in our fee schedule. So my question is on these baseball leagues that the city would put together, who would be entitled to the money or the fees that the kids would be paying? Who's keeping that?
You guys are, sir. That goes to just like the kids that pay to your Park and Rec League right now. That money would come to you.
Okay, so that's what I'm trying to understand on what exactly you guys would be asking of us.
So I think what we would be asking of you, first of all, would be at a minimum priority to have your fields available for practices and games. And then the next step to that, like, is if we're paying a fee, would be that there would be no fee for the utilization of those fields.
Okay, so if there's, and who would be collecting those fees on the leagues that you guys run? Who would be entitled to those? You guys?
No, sir. Any fee that's any fee that the league, that the competitive league charges,
Yes.
we don't want to charge a fee to the teams. We just want to make fields available. Any money that is any monetary gain comes to the city of Somerton.
Okay, because there is a fee that would have to be charged, because obviously we have costs associated with those fields. So as far as us not allocating or charging a fee to these teams, that would be pretty much it would be pretty difficult.
Not asking for not charging a fee, asking for just a one-time agreed to fee. If
that would be prior to the season?
That is correct. Yep. Yes, sir. And so that would be an agreement for, let's just say it was the fall season, from August until whenever we said the end of the agreement with you guys, with the end of the fall season was. And I think on the proposal, I just kind of put a number in there, and it was $300 for a team to join that league. And every bit of that $300 would go to you all.
Okay.
And how many teams would you say you have right now that are in competitive ball?
So what I can speak absolutely for is Yuma Baseball Academy, which is a 501c3. I'm the president and director. I have 10 teams. Okay. Now around the county, getting people to commit, right? Just like anything else, right? But we have anywhere from my 10 up to probably 16 or 17. And the teams that we would play would not only be teams from Yuma County, but we play teams from Imperial Valley, we play teams from El Centro. So they're coming here to eat at your restaurants when we play on Saturday afternoons or Sunday afternoons, etc.
Those mini tournaments and
that's another step, right? So once we kind of get in a relationship with you guys, is we start to find those gaps that you have on your schedule. I love this field that you guys have over here. It's a great place to host a little like 10U tournament or something like that. And we have the connection to bring those people in to play those tournaments.
So all we need as a city is just let you use the fields and you organize the schedule with Mr. Mesa, right?
Yes, sir.
But you mentioned that you want priority.
Easier than that.
Yes, ma'am.
Priority over our league?
No.
Okay.
No. Again, relationship, right? It's always going to ebb and flow depending on how much you got going on. But at the end of the day, if, for this whole month, the entire Yuma County Travel Baseball Association has 4 hours available, or a week, 4 hours available a week, or something like that, it probably doesn't work, right? The relationship doesn't work. But it would have to be where when you have more things going on, obviously your things are going to take priority, but other things from outside wouldn't take priority over us having to fill this.
Yeah, sometimes we've had issues where all, fields are occupied and we have teams fighting over fields. So when you said priority, I was like, okay, wait.
Yeah, I believe Mr. Royce, he has for a considerable amount of time, practice time, which we could stipulate on the MOU and have clear implications there. Maybe break it down into some kind of days or hours so everything's clear and spoken in clear language. So there's no misunderstandings. And if council wants to move forward, of course, with this proposal.
Mayor, I have
Yes,
another.
Councilman Villalpando.
First of all, I would like to see a clear-cut schedule from Mr. Mesa on how he's going to accommodate this league. As far as I know, there isn't a schedule and of all activities within the city to ensure that we are going to be able to accommodate this. I would hate for us to say yes right on the spot and then turn around and renege on the agreement just because there is events such as Toys for Tots. There is well, I think come and think of it, that might be the major one. But any leagues and activities within our Parks and Rec department, they need to be identified as well. I don't want this to be a substitute for all baseball here locally in Somerton, because what they're presenting, I feel it's probably a little bit higher level than some of our kids. So we still need to maintain some form of a baseball league in order to develop them to go to the next stage, which might be within this particular league.
And that was my concern as far as, and I have concerns having both leagues running simultaneously. Our rec league is probably a month or two, and so that we are got to remember that we're in the rec business, not in the travel ball business. Yeah, we can facilitate. The way I see it, we have facilities. If we have gaps, we'll allow them to use it. But us getting involved in the travel business, that's when it gets. That's where I'm concerned about. So my priority is recreation baseball. I might look at Councilman Roldan. He probably has a different. His kids are baseball players. But my priority is the kids of Somerton, the kids that want to participate, not in competitive baseball. And but if the facilities are there, like you said, participation in baseball is not what it used to be before. Back then, when we were growing up, it was the only show in town. We didn't have soccer. We didn't have any other sports, just baseball. Now it's competitive ball has taken over, and if we can allow at least for the rec, even concentrate on the younger kids as they get older, you don't see that participation, but the T-balls and at least the early stages, and we can change our way of thinking of baseball and maybe look into when kids hit 5th and 6th, they're no longer playing rec baseball. They're probably graduating into, if they like the sport. So
yes,
at least that's my concern, that us contributing to killing our rec leagues.
No, and Mayor, and I think I think that's where the organization, you sitting down with, and figuring out a schedule to make sure that both occur. That's where that behind the scenes planning is going to come to play, correct?
Yes.
Where you would figure that out, where it won't impact our city league, but at the same time, we'll be able to also host the travel per se, the competitive, right?
I would actually give you an example of that.
Mm-hmm.
So in my opinion, competitive travel baseball is not meant to be played during the week. Okay, that's for people who want to go on the weekends and travel and compete in baseball. So during your recreational league, I don't even like calling what we want to do a league, to be honest with you. I like the association And really what we want to do is scrimmage other competitive teams enough to go play in our tournaments. So during your leagues, there would not be, under my plan, a league going on at the same time. There would be some practices going on, right? And all coaches for the competitive teams would be encouraged to I want to promote your little league, not discourage from your little league, right? And so all coaches would be encouraged to allow those players to go play little league, and then they come play in your games on the weekend, right? And they get that extra game in. And so that's how the relationship continues.
Yeah, I just want to mention briefly that this is just at a proposal stage. We're gonna, of course, the council is interested in us looking into it a little bit further, scheduling and having a more concrete plan for review and possible approval. But at this point, like I mentioned, it's been the same for quite a few years. It's not really gonna hurt it because it's already not at an optimal level. And it might be worth a try. I mean, it's been in the same situation for many years. So it's not gonna hurt it because it's not in good shape.
You probably out, we've been involved in baseball for many years, and many won't let me lie, but just running a league, it takes a lot of time consuming away from, and that's the reason, a lot of leagues here in town, they're not, I think Mr. Porches was here, that he ran the league for so many years, and it's really time consuming. And, we see every year by year, that is decreasing and registration from the kids. And not because they don't like baseball, because they just other video games and whatever it is that they're into. I think this gives an opportunity, we're not, I don't think the focus is just on the travel, but also on the recreation, helping the coaches, to get to that level so they can teach the fundamentals to those kids. Because I've been coaching in the leagues here for softball. In the first practice, I was not supposed to be coaching. They said, well, you know what? I'm here because they have no other coaches. I don't know what to coach. So what do you guys want to do now? So I called, I said, here, let me help you out. And I think that's what we're trying, or that's what they're trying to do, is help those coaches so they can teach the kids the fundamentals. We see it in high school right now. If you go to some of the high schools, varsity looks like freshmen. It's that point. And, like he said, I think what I got from what you say is just, they'll be playing games on the weekends. And then one day of practice, but then the league will have their own scheduling so they can play games within the recreational teams. So I don't think that will hurt, the way it's already hurting. I think that's going to help alleviate that and grow that league and get those kids, like we used to, and only Babe Ruth, 13, 15, it was like 8, 9 teams. I remember Martin was having a hard time. Now we're having a hard time to even get one team to represent Somerton. Yeah. And not because, we need to promote that. We need to start getting Mrs. Ruth Quinn so they can announce the games and make it, feel that passion again to baseball. And, and so I think we have an opportunity. I mean, like you said, all the money collected is going to be to the city. Teams that come in on the weekend to play is going to stay here. They need to buy Gatorades, ice, whatever it is going to stay here. If they need to eat, either at the 8535 or any other bar here around here, then the money stay locally. So I think at the same time, we're promoting our businesses. Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I mean, kids are more visual than before. So they need to see things kind of to be interested. They see some good level play on the fields on the weekends. They're not seeing baseball as much as they used to, so it doesn't interest them. They're just seeing TikTok and those things on social media. But they go to the park and they see a good game between El Centro and Yuma, they might be interested. Yeah. So you need to see it and be around it to kind of have a feel for it and an interest too.
Any other questions or comments?
Yes, one more, Mayor, and I agree with the comment that was made earlier that I think overlapping sports is hurting and diluting the talent. somewhat. So there's Somerton due to the population. And by Parks and Rec running multiple sports, yes, no wonder baseball is a failure. You're already having a hard time as it is, and you're running more than one sport when the talent pool is very limited.
So, yep, get together. Like I said, present a schedule. And I'd like to see a schedule, not just for baseball, for all the sports planned. So we check on that overlapping that we have currently. So
make sure we add wrestling and any T-balls as well that do occur, even with middle school, because they have a lot of other sports that may have. I know wrestling is a big one for middle school, but that way those kids also play baseball and soccer.
And I'm not too concerned of the teenagers, middle school. They don't play on our rec leagues. It's more our rec leagues. It's different hours in the afternoon. So that's when practices are. We're not competing against junior high. Like that's why we've concentrated on in the CIP for teenagers, the skate park and the expansion of the gym, because they don't participate in our sports. They're doing other stuff. So.
Sound good?
Yeah.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Mr. Rosa.
There's a second presentation discussion on accrual of personal time off per section 802 of the City of Somerton Personnel Policy Handbook 2020.
Good evening, Mayor Hanaya, Vice Mayor Castillo, and council members. Armando Leon, HR Specialist here for the city. Today I'm going to be talking about the PTO policy, section 802. And we're going to be discussing this at a fairly high level, just hitting a few key points on the policy. And then we'll touch a little bit on a few scenarios that we were looking at as far as what the PTO banks look like at the moment and the accruals and so forth. So to begin with, on policy, on section 802, at the moment, the accrual from 0 to 5 years is at 4.62 hours per pay period for our regular employees. From 6 through 10 years, it's at 6.15 hours per pay period. 11 or more years, it's at 7.69 hours per pay period. For the fire service employees, from 0 to 5 is 6.34 hours pay period. 6 through 10, it's 8.45. 11 or more years, it's 10.56 hours per pay period. The maximum accrual at the moment for regular employees, it's 400 hours. And for fire, it's 550. We currently have written in our policy that you can get a payout of your PTO based on the following schedule. From 7 months to 2 years, it's at 80%. From 3 to 5 years, it's 85%. 6 to 8 years, 90%. 9 through 10 years, 95%. And once you get to the 11 years or more, it's 100% as the payout. Next, any questions on that so far? Next page. So this is a quick snapshot, high-level overview of what the City of Somerton, how we compare to Yuma, City of San Luis, and Yuma County. So for the City of Somerton, on the upper left-hand corner, those are the highlights of where we're currently at on our policy. Yuma has a general leave policy that gives them 6.14 hours per pay period with a maximum accrual of 307 hours. And for the fire personnel in red, it's 8.57 hours per pay period with a maximum accrual of 426.8 hours. And they do have a 100% payout. For the City of San Luis, they have 3.69 hours biweekly accrual. For the fire personnel is 4.48 hours biweekly, and their max is 360. and they don't have a payout written in their policy. For Yuma County, their accrual is 7.4 hours per pay period. For 1 year, 7.7, from 2 to 4 years, 8.6 hours per pay period on 5 years plus. They have 400 hours as their maximum accrual before October 2007, and that appears to be grandfathered in. And after October 2007, their max accrual is at 280 hours for Yuma County, and they do have 100% payout. Next. So pages 4, 5, and 6 is we did a download of all the existing employees that have PTO. And if you scroll down a little bit further, next page, right there. So at the moment, this is a snapshot of where our current PTO is, the value of it. So when we accumulate with all the hours that are accumulated at the respective hourly rate of each employee, the value of the PTO is about $500,000 right now. That's just a snapshot in a moment in time. So 512,000 is what it currently stands at. On the next scenario, a page down. These were employees that are, we looked at employees that have PTO hours above 300 hours. So on the far right column, any hours in excess of 300. So on this scenario, for example, if we were to reduce our PTO to 300 and we were to pay employees for that excess, it would come up to about 70,000. On the next scenario, page down. The last 3 years, fiscal year 2019, 2020, and 2021, the payout for employees that left the organization for whatever reason, in 2019, we had a payout of PTO of 50,000 approximately. In 2020, the payout was 66,700. And fiscal year 2021, that went down to 11,700 was the total payout that we had for that particular year. So the trend is sort of going down. And that's it. At the moment, we were just presenting what the policy looks like, and then as if there's any specific directions that you would like us to look at, as far as, I know that one concern was, are we going to continue to have these payouts year after year? And it doesn't seem like it's a major cost, but you might see it differently. I did look at did a graph on our what our current workforce looks like, and at the moment, from zero for all employees, we have about 175 employees, full-time and part-time. For all employees with 0 to 5 years of service, it's about 102 employees are in that range. From 5 to 10 years, it's 22 employees. From 10 to 15 years, 24. When we go to the upper ends of the years of experience, from 25 and up, we only have 5 employees in that range. So the longer term employees are the ones that are more likely to have high payouts because they accumulate the accrual, high accrual of their PTO. And so at the moment, it doesn't seem like that we're going to have a high trend of high payouts in the coming years.
Thank you, Armando.
Okay,
very complete presentation. Thanks. A lot of information. So Councilman Villalpando has a question.
Yes, Armando, quick question. What was the total amount for Yuma? I missed that.
Oh, give me 1 second. For Yuma, what was your specific question?
Well, what's the amount of PTO for Yuma, the total accrued?
Okay, so their maximum accrual is 307 hours.
307, is that just
307.
PTO?
307 for regular, 307 for regular employees, and then 426 for fire.
For fire, okay, do they have it separated? Is that just PTO, or do they have it in general leave or anything like that in sick leave?
They call it general leave. That's just referencing general leave. They have an additional sick leave for 40 hours per calendar year. What is it?
Per calendar.
What's it?
Per calendar year.
And for regular employees, and 56 hours for fire on sick leave.
So if Hvac were to have a PTO system like ours, they would accumulate 347 total hours versus our 400 hours.
Yes, and again, my dilemma here is the fact that we're carrying a debt of $500,000 on a yearly basis, and that debt needs to be reduced. It's not wise to keep it on the books. We are not a savings bank. Employees have earned that PTO, but I really feel that and strongly feel that they should be using it on a yearly basis, and that's up to management. Management needs to monitor that and make sure that debt is not on the city books, or it's being limited. And that is why for me, I want to carry a smaller amount of hours, because then that forces the employee to actually use it during the year. I mean, that's yes, there was payouts of 50 here or whatever it was, but the fact is that we still have a $500,000 debt that could potentially gain interest as the employees receive their cost of living increases.
So Councilman Villalpando, Jorge Lozano, City Attorney, and unfortunately, it looks like the employees that are currently at 400 hours have to stay at 400 hours, because that's the benefits and the conditions that employees came in to the city service. If going forward, you want to have an approach similar to what Yuma County did after a certain date, then PTO is, for example, 300 after, if you get hired after, then that's a way to start reducing that PTO. But unfortunately, the people that are already in the system have to remain in the system.
And there's different strategies that we can use to, if the intent is to reduce that liability, there's different strategies that we can use. One of them, for example, Yuma Regional Medical Center, at one point they had 40 hours that you can cash out every year around Christmas. So that cash out would reduce the amount that you carry in the books. I mean, we could look at other types of scenarios, and if that's the strategy moving forward.
And that it is incorrect. Just because they came in at 400 hours doesn't mean that they have to stay at 400 hours. You could still actually reduce it, but if they're at 400 hours, they will not lose any hours. If you reduce it down to 200, they're not going to lose 200. That means that they're not going to accrue any more hours until they're under the 200. So it is incorrect that they have to maintain and stay at 400 just because they came in when we were doing 400. That's not correct.
Is that in their city policy handbook, or because that was the City of Yuma? It's been changed 3 times, and everybody's gets changed. We don't get grandfathered into a benefit system, but that I understand for the state retirement that's the case, but as far as we used to have PTO, now we have general leave and sick leave. So, and everybody changes. So,
Mayor, let me consult this scenario with our outside counsel as well. I think, my proposition is, in order for us to take away a benefit, there's got to be some sort of agreement, for the employees. So let me get you the answer to that question.
I would say upon reduction, we pay off those hours. So it's not that we eliminate them. If it's reduced, then they need to be paid those hours.
Or I have a question.
And that's correct, Mayor. That's correct. You're not eliminating it. All you're reducing, and what happens is they don't have the ability. Let's say somebody's at 380 and we have a cap of 400, and we go down to 200. They'll never get to 400 just because the new limit is now. They'll never get to 400 because the new limit is 200, but they don't lose the 180 hours. They just lose the ability to accrue any additional hours.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I do understand Councilman Villalpando's, perspective about us as a city being on the hook for that $512,000. Would it be possible, let's say, for us to say, you know what, if we reduce it to let's say 200 instead of paying it out? Since it's PTO, we could say, you know what, this is your time. That time needs to be taken. I mean, it's just, I'm kind of looking at it as it's hard for me to imagine all those accrued hours that staff they never take a vacation. That I mean, it's great that they love their job that much that they want to be here every day. But I think there's also as far as us, I think it's important that we also model the self-care, because employees being here day in and day out without taking days off, I mean, there's got to be some self-care to it. And I think by maybe us, thinking about maybe reducing the hours, we're going to force employees to use that time for them to not get burned out or whatever the situation might be. But I do agree with Councilman Villalpando, where I looked at that $500,000 that we're on the hook for, where would that put us is, let's say if we had to pay it all out. And I know that's not the case, right? But that's in the books. Instead of paying it out, I think for me, I would rather have staff take the time off and not, I think that would be more of a benefit for us as a city. So.
And in reality, the number of employees that are in the excess amount of hours, let's say over the 300, it's only around 35 or so employees. The vast majority of the employees are nowhere near have accumulated that many hours. So it's more the longer term employees that have been here for a long time that have, and again, we just are exiting a pandemic year where a lot of employees were not taking PTO. A lot of, when they were sick, they were taking that additional hours that were being provided by the Families First Care Act. So under normal circumstances, they would have used some of that PTO under that circumstance. But
I know at work where I work, it's we can only accumulate carryover 80 hours, and it's use it or lose it. That's we have no choice. So
yeah,
I just.
No, Galindo.
That was one of the questions. How many employees? And I do understand Mr. Villalpando. At the hospital, we have the same. We had before unlimited. It was like 400. Now it's 260. And once you reach 260, and if fiscal year comes and you have 265, you lose 5, and then you don't accumulate no more over 60. So it's up to 260. So, and I don't know why employees don't take. If it was up to me, I would be taking every week off. But I don't know who loves to be working, but I think we have to encourage them. And like we have been saying for the last 6-7 years, it's the responsibility of the department heads, because it's not physically, emotionally, it's exhausting coming to work every day. You need to reboot yourself and go take time off. So I think it's the responsibility of the department heads to encourage their employees to take time off. And if not, if they're not doing that, then we have to put a cap, 260 or something like that. And it's only 35, like he said, that have over maybe 400. But I think we have to put a limit, because 260, I make sure I never get 260 because I'm always trying to take time out. But it's something that we have to look into, because to me, it's a lot of hours, it is. But this hours also have the sick time and something else in it. So if you compare it to San Luis is 307 or Yuma, but then 44 sick and 44 extra. So it's almost 400 at the same time. But if we put it under sick, people take sick time.
Mayor, if I can.
Yeah, under sick, the liability is maybe 25%. You don't pay the whole the whole 100%. So that's where we don't have those numbers, but that's
Question.
you know, for me, I really, there's some people that just rather be here than be at home with their significant other, or they don't enjoy the finer things in life, like vacationing, so to me, that's on them, but if they want to, but my concern is more the liability that we have. I like this model, the one that's 300,000, and maybe we can budget it for next year. And our liability, if we cap it at 300, would be 70,000, right? That we would have to pay or budget, Mr. Cabrera.
Approximately, it's
so it's something
that mayor is actually our payroll clerk is telling us that is if people were to get paid 100%, which is over 11 years of service. So in reality, that number might be
less.
Just because everybody's been here 11 years.
Okay.
So 70 is the maximum we would pay for the maximum payout of 100%.
And over the years, we've paid 50, 60 a year for people that have left or retired, right?
Correct.
So,
but we'll bring a scenario with different payouts, maybe having it within a 2 or 3 year period, kind of a plan in place. If the guidance for a reduction of PTO, I don't want to call it a liability because it is not a liability the way you see it, but I understand the concept of your PTO being worked out as far as the organization is concerned. Private and publics are two different ways of managing the PTO, as the city of Yuma and Yuma County or the school district. That's very different the way they run things in terms of how much you can carry over or not, or take off as vacation or sick leave. Unfortunately, the way we did the general plan or general leave versus PTO, whatever decision was made many years ago, obviously is in effect now. When we spoke to our outside counsel regarding PTO, seems like they rather see PTO than general leave. At least I got the impression from our general counsel. But we'll bring maybe 2 or 3 different plans in place to reduce whatever amount of PTO. We'll leave it as, if it's 300, kind of what Yuma County and City of Yuma or San Luis has, and then reducing that other liability from the difference of 300 and over. Cut it in a couple of years. If people do want to get reduced or what have you, we'll start paying that out within a 2 or 3 year period.
Yeah, Mayor. I think in 2000, I know it says 2007, but it was 2017 that the county decided to, when you leave, you can only cash out 200 hours, not the full 400 hours. So I think, for the new people that are coming in, if we do something like that, I think will alleviate that problem. I mean, they can accumulate how many hours, but at the same time, once they leave, they can only take so many. And I think that put us also on the liability, issue.
I also like the idea, like the hospital used to do. I never did it because I never had enough hours, but people accumulate that and it feels like, okay, extra money for Christmas. So we can do something like that around in the city, People, I like to be at work every day, but Christmas, I want extra money, so I will cash 40 hours. So that'll be nice. That way we'll alleviate some of the problems.
Armando, we did talk about that in our presentation. What cities have a similar program like the 40 hours or 80 or whatever?
That you can cash out?
Yes.
I haven't looked at, let's see, specifically who, I knew the Yuma Regional Medical Center was doing that, but cash out,
The city of San Luis has one.
Yeah, I think the city of San Luis.
Yuma County.
In Yuma County.
Who's that? Oh, Tempe, yeah.
Generally, you cash out only up to 40 hours, and so long as you have up to 80 hours left over in your bank.
Yeah, there's some rules behind that. You have to have a minimum hours in your bank in order to cash out, and you have to use certain number of hours throughout the year as well in order to have that 40-hour cash out. But I mean, we could establish whatever rules we think are appropriate.
Other questions?
One more question. Do we have a program? I know we used to have it at the hospital. That, let's say if one of our coworkers got real ill and sick and he was supposed to be out for, let's say, 2 months, and he didn't have enough hours, to cover that time out. We were able to give up to 8 hours of or 10 hours out of our PLT to donate to that person to help them out. Do we have a program here at the
Yeah,
city?
there's something in place where you can donate, employees can donate PTO hours from their bank to an employee that's in a certain type of distress. Yes, that's possible. Yeah, it's been done here before.
Anybody
Gentlemen,
else?
is that it?
Questions, comments?
Thank you, Mirna.
Thank you.
So when should we expect something back? It seems that we discuss this every year and we don't move. So
What scenario do you want, Mayor? Do you want us to go at 300? I mean, as staff, I think we need the directive from you to say, hey, look into a program.
We're gonna stay the same. So what?
We'll keep it at 400 from the employee perspective, but from the policymakers, what is it that you're asking us to do?
Well, what I'm hearing, there's a desire to lower it. At least for me, it would be if we lower it, we compensate the employee. Have if it's a 70,000, if we could budget it for next fiscal year, that's probably we could do that, since we are paying $56,000 a year when somebody leaves. But if we can have like a 3-year program where we pay it off, or you encourage for them to use it, or if not, we will pay it off, and at that time we'll set the cap, and it's either use it or lose it. At least that's where we have, another council member wants to add to that.
Mayor, if I may.
Yes.
I'm looking at 200 myself. Need I remind everybody that the only reason that we went with PTO was because our salaries were pretty low. And back then, City Manager Bill Lee came up with his plan to combine sick hours with vacation and call it PTO at this rate. Well, guess what? Our salaries are back up to competitive within our neighboring communities. So I think it's only fair for us to set a cap of 200 where the liability to the city is a little bit more manageable. And again, they're not going to lose any hours. Simply, it'll be combined with that plan that you're referring to, that 3-year plan, to be able to pay out the difference above the 200.
At 200, we will be way below our competitors. So
Yeah,
at least, I guess we can present both, unless council.
Well,
I
I
would
mean,
prefer the 300, and as it is, will be lower than the other entities.
Mayor and council, I think we started going into the right direction with trying to be competitive with our neighboring municipalities. And I think if the case is to reduce, I feel that we at least be competitive in that area as well. And I understand council members Villapando's worries, and I concur, but we still need to make sure that we have at least be competitive in that nature as well.
Council members what do you think? 300, 200?
One thing to also remember, excuse me, Mayor, if you may. One thing is that when we're paying out some of this, even though the amount is different, the payout that we do is at 80 or 85% or 100% of their retirement, depending on the number of years they've been here with the city. And we look at the payout for some of these other municipalities, it's always at 100%. So that's one big difference, unless obviously because of the way we have our PTO, as far as the general sick or comp time, that pays out differently or no payout. But what I see here is that it's 100% payout, except for us, we're doing it 80, 85%. So it's a lot lower than the other municipalities as well.
But also the payout, I think the hours are less. So, for the county, let's say you're at 500 hours, when you leave, it's only 280. They pay you 280. So the other ones you're losing because that's part of the policy. So
and when you think about it, it is kind of a long-term time of process, but it's more, you get more bang for your buck if you take the time off now or you get paid now, because you'll get it at 100%. But if you leave, you're going to get it at 80 or 85%. So as an employee portion of that side, I would want it to get paid now or take the time off because I get it at 100% versus leaving at getting paid at 80, 85% of my time.
And then on your higher date.
At 200 and accrual up to 300.
Yeah, with a percentage being paid out if they leave for those 300?
No, the 300 wouldn't be paid. We would cap the payoff at 200, but you could accrue up to 300.
Oh,
similar to what the county has.
I like that.
We might, at least I would be on board to eliminate the percentage payout at 200 and pay 100%.
Yeah, because the hours are accrued, those things. So it's basically the same.
So the county has no maximum accrual, but the payout is at 400 and or 280, right?
280 after 2017. So whoever was before is grandfathering at 400. But whoever, there was a lot of there's been a lot of new employees. When they leave, they can only leave with 280 hours.
So try to keep it at a competitive level as well, Mayor?
I think so.
What do you think? At least I would go with Villalpando's 200, pay 100% and accrue up to 300.
What happened for the employees that are already in the big grandfathering?
We would pay it off.
Pay out the rest.
We will be paid it off before they leave or they leave over 3 years.
There's a couple of things you need to also consider is, let's say we have a plan in place for that's going to take 2-3 years. Remember, if there is increases, it can be paid out based on that increase.
And I think the employees should know, what, when I leave, this is how many hours can take. So either they take vacation or they lose those hours. I think that's what they do to us. So.
They need to take vacation and time off in order for them to still be able to accrue those hours. But if they don't, then they're only hurting themselves because they're actually not accumulating those hours that they're entitled to.
Okay. We'll bring the scenarios and plans in place, and then we can go from there. So we can have something in place at least before next year's budget, or at least I want to get something approved by February's retreat That way we know moving forward how Serena or finance can budget for it. Thank you very much.
Semi-direction. Yeah.
Semi-direction, but we got it, I think.
Okay, moving on to old business. Item number 1, discussion and possible action to approve MOU between the City of Somerton and Northern Arizona University Senior Companion, Foster Grandparent, and RSVP volunteer programs.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. This is Mesa Parks and Rec Director. I'm here before you present an item that's been previously brought before council to discuss a valuable partnership for the senior center. They've been working with us for the past few years with the RSVP program, basically volunteering for activities at the senior center, and it doesn't implicate any significant impact financially or with staff hours. It's minor supervision, providing meals for the actual volunteers that help in any of the programs, and if possible, transportation for local volunteers. And I believe Ms. Idali Briones is here for you to present further items if you have any questions for her and NAU.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate the opportunity to present the Americorps senior programs through NAU. These are national programs with a local impact. We empower volunteers, people over 55, to serve in their communities and stay active. Not only do our programs impact the organizations that they serve at, but it also impacts the volunteer. For those that qualify, we provide a stipend that is tax-free for them, and it's also mileage reimbursement. And it doesn't affect any possible benefits that they would be receiving as volunteers. Our programs, Foster Grandparent and the Senior Companion, are income eligible. And for the Foster Grandparent, it's really a tutoring and mentoring program in educational settings or after-school programs. With the pandemic, we've been able to provide flexible activities to aid the organization in anything that they need assistance with, which could be like facility maintenance in the office, in the kitchen, or providing snacks for in after-school settings or anything like that. For the Senior Companion, we can provide additional activities, like for them doing phone well checks, especially during COVID, to prevent further isolation and helping the seniors maintain their independence. At the senior center, they could continue with providing those meals that they were doing door to door during the pandemic as well. It's really flexible right now with the pandemic, taking in consideration that both our volunteers and the clients that we serve are in the high-risk group. We've been, just to give you a little bit of historical information, in the community for about 14 years in Yuma County. Here, we've been with the Foster Grandparent Program probably around 10 years with WACOG and Chicanos por la Causa, but I would like to expand our partnerships further with the City of Somerton through the Nutrition Center and possibly the youth program. I think before it was through YMCA. But I think that's reopening through the city.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Just have a quick question. It isn't mentioned clearly. Is the city doing the background checks for?
So it's two-part. Our organization does require to do background checks through the state repository and through FBI, but we do recommend for the partner agencies to conduct their own background checks if they need to. Our background checks did not require a fingerprint clearance card, and I know some of the organizations like to have that additionally. We also do a national sex offender check, and we conduct 2 references. But the partner agencies are welcome to do additional screening.
Have you looked into the fingerprinting portion of it, Jesus? I'm thinking because these are seniors that will be partnered off with, I understand the part that they do, but I don't know.
Yes, it wouldn't be a major financial impact for us. It's the volunteers it's a considerable amount, but it's not anything major. And yeah.
Mayor, the only issue with the fingerprint clearance card is the time consuming. By the time you actually do the fingerprint, if it's going to be done by the local police department, by the time it gets sent and actually do the background check, you maybe because of COVID, 6 months to 8 months. If it's digital, it's a lot faster, but there's no digital component of fingerprints here in Yuma County. I think they're all in Phoenix, I believe. They had one in Yuma.
I think there's one in Yuma.
But they closed it, I think. It was at the foothills.
Yeah.
4th Avenue?
No.
There's a new one.
There was one over.
By Fry's, behind Fry's, right on 4th Avenue.
They closed that one, that 2-story building, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, they closed that one and they opened the one. There was 2 actually. There were 3 at one point, and then they closed that one, and then they ended up having the one at the foothills, and then they just closed the foothills one here.
Montes does the
digital one.
Digital.
If they do digital, that'll be great. It'll be faster. But even
Mayor,
then,
if I may?
Yes, Councilman Villalpando.
Okay, I agree with Councilwoman Garcia. I think we should do our own fingerprint clearance card. But it shouldn't stop them. I mean, they've been already pre-screened, and they should be allowed to still participate. But I think we should do our part and do the fingerprint clearance card. I mean, worst case scenario, we already have their fingerprints on file while they're participating, and we are dealing with a very vulnerable population. So I think every precaution that we can take is probably warranted.
Yeah, it's doable. And just want to mention the MOU also stipulates that for the fostering program, parents are not to be left alone with any youth. That's where staff is going to come in for additional supervision and additional care and safety.
So the other question, Mayor and Council, is if the digital fingerprint, I guess Montes does it, which is verified. If they do it, who's going to pay for the fingerprint clearance card? Do we pay for it?
We're the agency, right?
Yes.
The partnering, according to this, is the partnering.
They're doing their own clearance, so we would be.
That's on the if it's not in the MOU that they'll do it, then it's going to have to be our responsibility.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember what the cost is now. It was at 1.75. I don't know if it's 100. I have no idea at this point.
I think it's still around 75.
75.
For including the fingerprint.
The $10 or $12 they charge.
How many? How many volunteers we're talking about?
With NEU, it really depends on our funding, how many volunteers are able to provide for my area. So it really depends on how much funding it's available through my program and how much need you guys have. So it can be even starting with 3-5 volunteers, and depending on your need and on your cost, how many more you guys want to bring in.
Okay, thank you.
Any additional questions for us?
Wanted to add one more thing. Our third program, which is mentioned on there, is the RSVP program. Really, it's more of a safety net for us because the other 2 programs are income eligible. So the RSVP program allows us to not turn any volunteer down. And it's for anybody that's want to participate, and they don't have to be income eligible. With that program, the only check that we do is our reference checks and the National Sex Offender Search. But it does allow for the volunteer to be connected to a partner agency. Sometimes some of the volunteers in the community either don't have an interest in having a stipend, or they are over income, but they still want to be part of a larger volunteer group, or be able to, don't know actually where to go to start volunteering services. So it's a connection for them.
Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion?
So move, Mayor.
Second.
There's a motion by Councilman Galindo, second by Councilman Roldan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Moving on to new business, discussion and possible action of the disposal of 17 government vehicles which are no longer in use or have become obsolete.
Mayor and Council, several months ago, we discussed possibility of lease purchase or purchase or what have you. But as we went through the whole list, and we've been going through this list for several weeks now, or months actually, we've seen the number of vehicles that need to be actually put on the auction block or surplus sale. And at least at this point, we have 17 vehicles that are inoperable, outdated, or the fair market is less than what the insurance is costing us. As you can see from the list itself, there's actually it's not 17, it's 18, unless we're missing a number here. It's from the 1999 Ford onto the two Harleys and a 1998 Kawasaki motorcycle that the police does not use anymore. There might be more vehicles coming down as we're working out through this year. There might be another 10 vehicles that we might end up having to get rid of in the next year or two. So we need your blessing to put these on an auction block or surplus sale.
I think the Crown Victoria still gives us another couple years.
And the reason, obviously, we need to get rid of these because we're paying for insurance. We need to move on from these vehicles. Even though the price, that's the price of if there was an accident or what have you, that would be the price for us to replace it at that point.
Like the 2007 Explorer, is that 25,000? Is that the value of it?
When it was bought.
When it was bought, okay.
So what's the price right now if we're gonna get rid of it?
The Ford Explorer, I don't know what, maybe $500 to $1,000. I don't know what the, I never used that one. I think that for the 2001, that's that one that Brisa was using. And I think that some of the windows weren't working, the doors, the seats were torn. So you might get maybe 3,000. You could.
I know Carmen wants
the ones that are we're gonna get more money is going to be the Harley Davidsons. But I think we're gonna end up we're gonna be looking at putting a set cost, at least starting cost might be 4,000 to 5,000 or more.
Go ahead, do it then tomorrow.
That would be auction.
I think that's what the discussion has been.
Whatever is going to generate more money.
Yes, to pay for some of these other vehicles that we need to purchase.
The Corn Fest and the Tamale Fest. Yeah, something, you know.
Auction at the UTV festival.
Yeah.
The Harleys might do
Harley,
well.
Yeah.
Might not be a bad idea. I like that idea, as a matter of fact. Annie, you want to buy?
They don't move those vehicles, don't move no more?
The Harleys work very well.
They're not in operation?
No, no.
None of these cars are in
The motorcycles, they're actually working very well. But we don't have anybody who's certified other than the chief that actually can drive these.
But like that Parks Chevy S10, that's just sitting there. The 07 Ford Explorer that belongs to Parks is also just sitting there.
Yes.
So all these vehicles are sitting here. We're not getting rid of some vehicles, and there's going to be a need of vehicle next month.
No, there's going to be a need of vehicles, yes.
But we're not by getting rid of them, we're not gonna be in immediate need of vehicles. So this are parked and not being used because maybe next month we get, oh, we don't have vehicle for this crew or this. So
No, we already have whatever we have on the CIPs already.
We're not taking the 1995 Ford Ranger from Carmen, huh? Okay.
So we give the Harley Davidson to Hector, he can ride it.
Mayor, I have a comment.
Yes.
Well, why don't we get officers that can certify and use those Harleys? The reason they bought those Harley Davidson is because we do have that small strip of land that's along Las Estrellas and that other subdivision just north of it. And it was going to be used to possibly patrol those little areas. And so maybe instead of selling them, maybe we should look at getting somebody certified to actually use those.
My understanding is that the chief doesn't see a need to have a motorcycle fleet. So I would defer to her for that.
Yeah, she said there was no need. Nobody rides the motorcycles very well, or they're not very well trained. At least the current ones that we have, none of them are certified. And it's kind of a
why don't we train an officer? But my understanding was that the chief did not see a need.
The chief did not see a
motorcycle need.
She did not see a need or want it.
Yeah, exactly.
It is what it is.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve disposal of, it's 18 vehicles, right?
Yes.
Of 18 government surplus vehicles which are no longer used or which have become obsolete or worn out per City of Somerton procurement policy.
A motion by Councilman Castillo, second by Councilwoman Garcia. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Third events.
COVID-19 early warning wastewater results still show at a level 2 of concern. And for the last couple of weeks, it still has continued to do so. And it continues to be a fluctuation of an increase and decrease. And that's the reason why it's still a level 2 of concern. This week rather, staff and council, mayor and council were at the Arizona League of City and Towns. It was a great event for our booth. Now it seems like everybody wants to be next to our booth, and I think it's thanks to Brisa Garcia and Andrea Moreno. But ultimately, I think the coordination of dancing by Councilmember Roldan, Galindo, and Garcia that actually did help with the dancing there. I don't know if I don't remember seeing Castillo there dancing, but
The Rock.
The Rock. And so Chief De Anda.
Councilman Gonzalez was dancing
too. Chief De Anda offered employment to 2 paramedics scheduled to begin in September. Currently, C Shift has 2 probationary employees with a 3rd soon. They've been doing rapid testing for our staff, which is great. And in the last week, they performed a total of 9 tests. And out of these 9 tests, 0 were positive for the results of the COVID antigen. Carmen.
Evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. The last time I updated you on the 2020 census, a couple of things have happened. We have met a couple of times with representatives of all the municipalities, the local municipalities, Yuma County, and also offices representing Congressman Grijalva, Congressman Gozar, and Senator Mark Kelly. So we had these meetings and we are trying to put together a joint alliance, if you will, to request the Census Bureau to do a recount if possible. So right now we have a presentation that the state demographer sent us an email late last week, and it's about a presentation for this particular program, the account. It's called Count Question Resolution Program. This is the next program that the Census Bureau will open up for for this particular situation, and there's going to be a presentation by the Census Bureau, and it's scheduled for October 13th at 11 a.m. This is virtual, so I forwarded the link to the registration of this presentation to all the municipalities that have been attending these meetings, in hopes that we are going to get more information in regards to the potential appeal of the census count. Another brief information is the Planning and Zoning Commission held a special meeting last week on the 30th of August to review and issue recommendation for council on the rezoning for the high school land. So the recommendation was approval, and is going to be presented to council at the next meeting, September 21st, for your review and the final approval. Thank you.
Mr. Mesa.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. Just want to mention that registrations for youth baseball ended on Friday, September 3rd. For T-ball, and we had a total of 47 participants. So we're going to have a T-ball league with about 4 teams. Baseball closed on Friday. Registrations were low. We're not going to have enough participants for a league. And softball, girls softball closes on this Friday, the 10th.
Question, on the rec page,
Yes.
the softball, it says it's closed.
It's closed. Okay, let me double check. It's supposed to be open till Friday.
I saw the flyer that it was due the 10th.
Okay.
But it won't let you register anymore.
Okay, thank you for the heads up. Also, for the HVAC units, they were ordered. They're set to be here on early December to be installed, and that was advised by Ms. Hansberger Refrigeration. The SES box is the only thing being delayed by APS. We should have an update pretty soon. And also for the Joe Munoz skate park, the 100% design is scheduled to be ready for next week, the week of September 13th. The only thing pending is the structural plan for the building, and it's almost ready. That's all I have.
Mr. Palas, Mr. Hector.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Maybe you're here before the Yuma Multiversity Campus, YMBC. I represented Somerton this afternoon to start the process. They formed a focus group to start asking about the community, what to do, the goals of this university to be in this area. As you know, this is going to be very interesting because the conversation has been not only in the city of Yuma, but also as a region. And the discussion, the focus this afternoon was maybe make this university binational, international, multilingual, and be able to bring students from all over the world or from Mexico, Canada, and different places. So right now at this stage, it's only a conversation. So I was part of the focus group. It's going to continue the conversation, but the main goal of this focus group is to include the community and as a regional assessment, but also receiving input for the community stakeholders, the teachers in the area. They want to come before you also asking like a city council from Somerton, San Luis, Yuma, about their ideas. So eventually this university is moving forward. But right now the consultant was hired
So they expect to have something by next year. But right now they're doing the investigation and asking the local community about ideas and how they can proceed. But it was very interesting. I was glad I was able to participate in this conversation because, as you know, in economic development, not only in our city, but also in different cities, one of their concerns is the skilled labor and why our youth are leaving the Yuma area to other places and don't come back. Maybe because they don't find a place where to work. Or the companies that are here, they're not finding the skilled labor. So this focus, this conversation was basically and be able to provide that locally, not only for the student to stay, but also bring companies into the area that they can find the skilled labor. So that's going to be a continued conversation, and hopefully this become a reality. It's not going to be in a couple of years. This is a long-term plan, but I think eventually it will be a very good asset for the community to have a university. Thank you.
From San Palacios, Cesar Chavez Avenue traffic signal project is almost complete. Spectrum finally pulled their, or relocated rather, the wiring or cable, and APS poles have been removed as well, and waiting for DPA this week to start the curb and gutter. So hopefully here soon we'll get that street opened up. The only thing that's going to be waiting after this will be the box to electrify the traffic lights. The high school area sewer lift station contractor completed the dewatering last week. So now they're working on putting a block wall in the area as well, just to make sure that is safe from the current agriculture that's happening right now. So they are still continuing to install a gravity pipeline. From Chief Juarez, she was in pain. She had a minor accident. Minor, I said minor. This holiday weekend was busy with multiple calls for service. Continue to have vehicle thefts of catalytic converters, so be on the lookout for your vehicles. They're especially looking at Ford F-150s. So make sure they're in an area of well-lit area. Children at Play sign was placed on north end of town where a large number of children gathered in an effort to slow down traffic. September 29th, AZ Post will be paying a tribute to officers who in 2019-2020 lost their lives while on duty. On September 11th, we will be lowering our public safety flag to honor all those who lost their lives during the 9/11 attack, which is Patriot Day. Sarina, you're there? She was here. But Sarina has obviously the initial budget meetings, and then payroll information in June was updated last week, an invoice for Cocopa, and finalizing the Auditor General report due September 15th. And that concludes our reports.
Así.
Councilman Villalpando.
No, I don't have anything, Mayor. Sorry about that.
Councilwoman Garcia.
Just want to thank staff for our booths. It's my first time at the local level for the city and leagues, and I thought it went very well. Thank you to our sponsors and our vendors that went over and displayed their stuff too. We did have, while we were out, there was a booster clinic here in Somerton at the senior center. Approximately 81 seniors were given the booster shot, and we continue to be in contact with the health department to see when we can, continue the clinics for boosters. We were also contacted by NCHP for clinics as well. So that continues. And that's it.
Councilman Roldan.
I think the same as Councilwoman Garcia. It was my first time at the Arizona City Leagues and Towns, and it was, I guess, I didn't think it was going to be very well attended, and it was. And also the the guest speaker, I think it was a good experience, and also what he spoke about what council is all about, and what we need to do, and just make sure that we always put our constituents before any decisions that we make, and at the same time our employees. And also the booth, I think it was a very, very well attended. Everybody was dancing to get a hat. So I think for next year, now we know what we need to take. Thank you, Mr. Manny, for going out there and selling out his corn. Was a success. And I think, just experience all about and meeting the people, knowing different people, different other council members that, whenever you have a question, you can call them or text them and they'll be able to help you out in case you have any questions.
It's the same. Councilwoman Garcia and Roldan already said most of it, but I just want to thank Manny and Churros Abuelo, for being there. And I think, people are seeing what Somerton is doing, and by being there representing Somerton, I think now they want to know where's Somerton, what do they do, what is it, what do you offer to the community? And I think the networking with the different communities, we learn a lot about different other things. We didn't know that our city clerk is not certified. There's an academy that she can attend. So those are the things that we get from going to those meetings. Yeah, we do have fun, but at the same time, I guess we put ourselves and we mingle with other people to find out what are they doing, what can we do better, or maybe something new. And I learned something that we've been having trouble with the recycling, that we are not selling the cardboard or the aluminum. So there was a company that can buy that or take over or whatever. Those are things that we learn. And I think that networking with the cities from the state of Arizona. So thank you for that opportunity. And thank you, Manny and Churros El Abuelo.
Vice Mayor.
Well, again, just want to thank the city for giving me that opportunity to attend my first League of Cities conference. After 3 years, I finally was able to make one. The networking opportunities were great. Got to speak with, representatives from Marina, from Douglas. So that was good. One of the sessions that I attended that really stood out to me was the capital pipeline. They talked about a new tool to kind of understand and utilize capital projects for Arizona cities. So I'm kind of like intrigued when that comes out, because, in my understanding, we would all be able to log into that and kind of see what other cities with our same population, see what they're doing, see their capital projects. So and they said it was free, right?
Yes, it is free.
They said it was a free tool, but I think that'll kind of give us an opportunity to kind of see what other cities are doing with their same with their size. The showcasing. I will say, when I was walking around, about 4 or 5 people, they saw my shirt. They did say, what, by far you guys have the best booth. So I think that was consistent throughout the showcase. So. And I do want to thank our vendors, Manny and the churros that went. I think everybody's going to remember the city of Somerton from this showcase. So, and that's all I have.
And I want to echo what they're saying. And the networking, you feel that's the most important. I had the state senators, a couple of them, when they saw me, they said they were supporting the high school, and they also saw the census numbers, and they said that they were gonna help as much as possible. So that's, I think, and everything, just having other council members there and away from your families was great, because it's all of us. They know us. They know Somerton. Next time there's an issue at the state level, they're gonna recognize Somerton, and the booth. That's representative of Somerton. That we like to say that we're the city that likes to have fun, and you could tell that at least the Arizona elected officials know who Somerton is, and those hats and all the stuff that we gave away. And of course, we had La Michoacana and churros there. So it just shows what Somerton is, just a city that's close knit and our Mexican heritage. You come and it's unique. You can have stuff that you don't have in other places. So it was a great turnout. And it's 8:40. Meeting's adjourned. No, and every time that Galindo goes, that's when it's fun.